Welcome to the Shifting Inward podcast, where we explore the mindset blocks that keep entrepreneurs stuck. Your mind is one of the most powerful tools at your disposal. Your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions drive your success. When you shift what's happening internally, everything externally starts to move. Hi, I'm Joe Risk, and in this episode, we're discussing the loneliness of entrepreneurship. Why building a business can feel isolating and how to stay connected even when you're working solo. So let's get into it. The loneliness of entrepreneurship isn't just about being alone, it's about feeling alone. It's about carrying the weight of your business in a way that no one else around you fully understands. You can be surrounded by people, friends, family, a partner, and still feel isolated in your entrepreneurial journey because they don't get it. They don't understand the risk you're taking. They don't understand the pressure you're under. They don't understand why you're so stressed about something that, to them, seems manageable. And here's the thing. Entrepreneurship is inherently a solo journey in many ways. You're building something that doesn't exist yet. You're making decisions that affect your livelihood. You're responsible for outcomes in a way that employees aren't. And unless someone has walked the path themselves, they can't fully relate. So you end up keeping things to yourself. You don't share the struggles because you don't want to seem like you're complaining. You don't share the wins because you don't want to seem like you're bragging. You carry it quietly, and that isolation compounds over time. And here's what you need to know. This feeling is normal. It's not a sign that you're doing anything wrong. It's not a sign that you're weak or incapable. It's part of the path. And while you can't eliminate the loneliness entirely, you can navigate it in ways that make the journey more sustainable and less isolating. So, what does entrepreneurial loneliness actually look like? Maybe you're working from home every day. No coworkers, no water cooler conversations, no one to bounce ideas off of in the moment. Just you, your laptop, and the work. And while the flexibility is great, the isolation starts to wear on you. Maybe you try to talk to friends or family about what you're going through, but they just don't get it. They mean well, they're supportive, but when you talk about the stress of a launch or the pressure of inconsistent income or the weight of making every decision yourself, they just don't relate. They offer advice that doesn't apply, or they minimize what you're feeling, and you end up feeling more alone than before you said anything. Here's a big one. You hit a win, a milestone, a sale, a breakthrough, and there's no one to celebrate with. You're excited. You want to share it, but your non entrepreneurial friends just don't understand what's the big deal. Your family thinks you're bragging, and you end up celebrating alone, or not celebrating at all. And over time, that diminishes the joy of building. Or maybe you carry a lot of stress, doubt, or fear, but you don't feel like you can share it. You're the leader of your business. You're supposed to have it together. So you don't talk about the hard parts. You keep the struggles private, and that weight sits on you with no outlet. Maybe you're making big decisions whether to pivot, whether to invest, whether to hire, and you're doing it completely alone. There's no team to consult, no boss to defer to, no partner to share the responsibility with. It's all on you, and that can feel heavy. And here's what happens. The isolation starts to affect you. You may lose motivation or question whether it's worth it. You start to feel disconnected from the work you once loved. Not because the work itself is bad, but because you're doing it in a vacuum with no connection, no support, and no sense of being part of something bigger. So, why does entrepreneurship feel so lonely? The obvious answer is that you're working alone. But the deeper answer is this: entrepreneurship changes you, and the people around you stay the same. You're thinking differently, you're prioritizing differently, you're making decisions based on long term vision while everyone around you is thinking week to week. You're taking risks they can't understand. You're building something that doesn't exist yet, and they're trying to help you based on what already exists. The gap isn't just about understanding entrepreneurship, it's about understanding who you're becoming. There's also this: you can't casually talk about your business the way people talk about their jobs. When someone asks, "How's work?" they're expecting a simple answer. They're not ready for you to unpack cash flow concerns, launch anxiety, or existential questions about your offer. So you say, "It's good," and you move on. I'm laughing because I know exactly how this feels. And that surface level interaction just reinforces the loneliness. And here's something no one talks about: entrepreneurship doesn't have milestones that people recognize. There's no promotion, no performance review, no employee of the month. The wins that matter to you, your first sale, hitting a revenue goal, finally figuring out your messaging, they don't register as accomplishments to people who never built anything. So you're celebrating alone because no one else knows what you just achieved. There's also fear of judgment. If you share the struggles, people might think you're failing. If you share the wins, they might think you're showing off. So you edit yourself constantly. And that self editing creates isolation because you're never fully yourself with the people around you. But here's what matters: loneliness isn't failure, it's a signal. It's telling you that you need connection with people who get it. And that connection is out there. You just have to be intentional about finding it. So let's reframe this. Loneliness isn't a sign that something is wrong with you or your business. It's a sign that you're doing something most people don't do. You're building something from nothing. You're taking risks that others won't take. You're operating at a level of responsibility and uncertainty that most people will never experience. Of course, it feels lonely. You're on a different path. So here's the shift: you don't need everyone to understand, you just need a few people who do. You don't need your entire social circle to relate to what you're building. You need just one or two people who are on a similar journey, who can sit in the uncertainty with you, who can celebrate your wins because they know what it took to get there. And that's enough. Another shift is: being alone isn't the same as being lonely. You can work solo and still feel connected. The key is building intentional connection, not waiting for it to happen accidentally. You don't need an office full of coworkers. You need a few check ins with the right people, a community that gets it, a conversation that reminds you you're not the only one navigating this. And here's the truth: the loneliness gets easier when you stop expecting non entrepreneurs to understand. They're not being unsupportive, they're just operating in a different world. And that's okay. You don't need them to get it. You just need to find the people who actually do. Here's another reframe: sharing the journey matters more than sharing the outcome. Because people can't usually relate to, "I made six figures," or "I launched a program," but they can relate to, "I was terrified to hit publish," or "I doubted myself all week." Vulnerability creates connection, perfection creates distance. Share the real stuff and you'll find your people. And finally, this: you're not alone in feeling alone. Every entrepreneur goes through this. The ones who look like they have it all figured out, they went through it as well. The difference is they found ways to stay connected, and you can as well. So stop asking, "Why does this feel so isolating?" and start asking, "How can I build a connection into my entrepreneurial life?" Because the loneliness doesn't go away on its own. You have to create the connections that you need. So, how do you actually navigate the loneliness? First, find other entrepreneurs. Join a community, a mastermind, or a group of people who are building something as well. It doesn't have to be in your own industry. It just has to be people who understand the journey. And when you're surrounded by other entrepreneurs, you don't have to explain yourself because they get it. And that eliminates so much of the isolation. Second, create structure around connection. Don't wait for it to happen organically. Schedule a weekly call with another entrepreneur. Join a coworker's space a few days a week. Attend a monthly meetup. Build connection into your routine the same way you build work into your routine. It's not extra, it's essential. Third, share the journey, not just the outcome. Stop filtering everything you say. Stop editing yourself to seem like you have it together. Share the messy parts, the doubts, the struggles, the wins that don't look impressive but feel huge. Vulnerability is what creates real connection, and real connection is what combats loneliness. Fourth, accept that not everyone will understand, and that's okay. Stop trying to get your non entrepreneurial friends and family to relate to every part of your journey. They love you, they support you, but they're not going to fully get it. And that's not a failing on their part or yours. It's just a reality. Find the people who do understand and let everyone else support you in the ways that they can. Fifth, celebrate your wins out loud. Don't minimize them. Don't downplay them. Share them with people who will actually celebrate with you. Post them in your entrepreneur community. Text them to a friend who gets it. Don't let wins pass unacknowledged just because you're afraid of how it will be received. You worked for this. You deserve to celebrate it. Sixth, build rituals that combat isolation. Start your day with a podcast that makes you feel connected. End your day by checking in with an entrepreneur friend. Join a live event or virtual meetup once a month. Small rituals create a sense of belonging even when you're working alone. And finally, remember this. You chose this path knowing it would be different. Loneliness is a part of it, but so is freedom. So is building something meaningful. So is creating a life on your terms. The loneliness doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It just means you need to be intentional about staying connected along the way. You're not alone in this. You're surrounded by people building, struggling, growing, and figuring it out, just like you. You just have to reach out and find them. If this resonated, drop a comment and share your story. Do you struggle with loneliness as an entrepreneur? How do you stay connected? I'd love to hear about it. And I invite you to join our free school community to connect with other entrepreneurs who are breaking through mindset blocks and supporting and celebrating each other's growth. Link in the description. I'm Joe, and I help entrepreneurs shift inward so they can move forward. See you next time.